Today we are talking about the power of affinity. Welcome to the Velocity Podcast. This is something that I've been kind of thinking about for the last few days because on the weekend I went to a bourbon tasting at a restaurant in Cambridge and it was such a fun night. But there were two things that really stood out to me from a marketing perspective and I wanted to share them with you. And as soon as honestly on the ride home, I'm totally making a podcast about this because it was so good and not your typical marketing strategy. All right, so Jim Beam was the host of this event, which they are a whiskey company, if you don't know, and they hired a man to go around Canada, essentially, holding these bourbon tastings. And I loved it. He knew so much about bourbon and the history of Jim Beam and the history of actually whiskey, and it goes back hundreds of years, and it was really, really fascinating. Plus, he was super outgoing. Plus, he really looked the part of a Kentucky guy who knows about whiskey. So he came in super friendly, really outgoing, and afterwards, when I was talking to him, he was like, "Oh yeah, I probably have spoke at over 200 places this year, throughout Canada. This is the first one this year," and then he's kind of telling me about his travel schedule. So as I was driving back home, I was like, "Wait, Jim Beam literally hired a man to go around Canada holding small whiskey tastings. How good of an investment is that?" So as I was kind of pondering, is it a good investment? That's a lot of money because you got to pay for his salary, you're paying for his travel, and whatever incidentals that come up. And I was thinking it obviously is a really wise business decision because they wouldn't keep doing it if it wasn't paying dividends, right? So then I pictured myself walking into a liquor store like the LCBO. And I was like, oh yeah, it's the law, or it's the phenomenon of the mere exposure effect. So the mere exposure effect, if you haven't heard, is when you're faced with a bunch of choices and you go to the one that's familiar with you. So think about if you walk into the LCBO or if you walk into a convenience store, you're most likely going to reach for the familiar. You're not going to try something new unless in your mind you're like, I'm going to try something new today. So how this relates to him is that the mere exposure effect, which Coke made very popular, it's just the more you see something, the more familiar you get with it, the more you like it, the more you trust it because you see it all the time. This is the beauty of commercials. This is why I'm always saying quantity over quality. You need to get your name out there. The more people are exposed to you, the more they just naturally trust you and kind of believe in you and are more likely to hire you than someone, or pick you up like a product, than someone they haven't heard of before. So what Jim Beam is essentially doing is getting this guy to go all across Canada, sharing 4 different versions of the drink. So one was a Jim Beam whiskey, and there was a Knob Creek, and there's 2 other ones, all under the distillery of Jim Beam. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could picture myself going into the whiskey, which I have done before, and just looking at a wall and not knowing anything. And then I thought about my own buying habits. I reach for Canadian Club because that's what I knew growing up. And I reach for the familiar. I didn't realize it was the mere exposure effect because I've never considered it. I just go in and you got to buy certain things for people or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know next time I walk into the LCBO, I could see this in my mind. I'm going to reach for Jim Beam because I'm familiar with him, because this guy just spent 2 hours telling me all about the original Jim Beam and the history and what happened during Prohibition, what happened after the war. I know so much about it. Of course, I have a natural affinity to this brand now because I know them, I trust them, I have seen their journey. And that in itself is worth the investment of hiring someone to go speak to Canada about a little whiskey company called Jim Beam. And there's so many other influencers, and there's probably people who do this for all types of industries. I'm just talking about the bourbon tasting because that's just what I happened to be at the other day. But I couldn't believe, I just couldn't believe it. Seeing it in action and then seeing my own kind of reaction, I was like, 100%, that's amazing. What does this mean to you as a small business owner? It's affinity. You need people to have a natural affinity, a natural liking towards you. How do you do that? Get in front of the camera. Get out into networking events. Just get out there, get out there, get out there. Whether you're taking video, whether you're taking pictures, whether you do professional brand photos or just selfies. The point is you need people to be familiar with your brand. Back in the day when we were growing up, it was they need 7 touch points. Now I actually have heard 21, but I think it must be more because you need 21 touch points before someone decides to go with you. And that's just because there's so much competition out there right now. So the more people are familiar with you, the more they're likely to trust you. And again, social media is an easy way to build that trust. Turn the camera on yourself and just start talking about your business, maybe about your history, about anything. The point is your logo, your name, your brand, get it out there. Now, there's a flip side to this, the restaurant itself. So the Aging Oak is a restaurant I really, really like. We go there probably once a month just for drinks, and it's located in Cambridge. So I went in that night, everything was the same. Amazing wait staff. The owner was there, super happy to have everyone. The food was like top notch. The drinks were amazing. And it was exactly how it always is. They're consistently awesome, which is a whole other feat that I'm not going to talk about. But what was really cool is so me and my husband were there, but we brought a guest. We brought 2 people to come with us. And because everything was amazing, the dip, so good, the charcuterie board, so cool and creative, that they were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to come back here and eat. So not only did they pay for the bourbon tasting itself, so they got that $60 ticket times 2, plus the drinks we ordered beforehand, but now they were like, I'm coming back. This is such a cool restaurant. So I was like, that's pretty neat. Cool, like I love this place too, it's really neat, and I kind of feel like an ambassador for it because I like it so much, and every time I go there I put it on my social media. And then so we went home that night. I woke up for my networking breakfast the next day, and someone said, hey, where were you last night? That looked really, really cool. Like, oh, this really cool restaurant, the Aging Oak. There I was again, like essentially evangelizing for this restaurant. And someone's like, yeah, I saw your pictures, I'm gonna like mark that down, I'm definitely gonna check it out next time I'm in Cambridge. So I'm like, okay. Again, so takeaway Jim Beam. From one tasting, they definitely have two more customers. I know other people were guests because you can kind of hear the conversation, and I think more people are going to come out for that one night. So first of all, they paid to be there. Second of all, they're coming back. Thirdly, we posted all over social media. My sister did, I did, other people did. Everyone was tagging the Aging Oak and Jim Beam Bourbon Company. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is the power of social media and just getting it out there. So they started sharing all of our stuff on their stories. Whoever tagged them, they reshared. But again, most importantly, it's not only foot traffic for that night, and even if it was a lost leader, even if they were like, you know what, it's going to cost us $100 to be there, but we're going to sell the ticket for $60, it's worth it because now you have people not only coming back for sure because they loved it so much, they are actually going to tell other people about it, whether it's real life like I did or social media like I did. And that's the power of user-generated content. If you can get your customers to talk about you, nothing's better than that. User-generated content is pure gold. Instead of you saying, hey, I'm the best, trust me, like we do the best, we have the best product or we do the best service, you're having someone else being like, oh my gosh, these people are the best, check it out. And that's what we were doing for this restaurant. We were taking a ton of pictures. I made like a reel about it, told everyone I know about it. People were asking me questions the next day, and actually even today someone's like, hey, that looked cool, where was that? So you're putting the power in your customers' hands to be the megaphone for you. So it's one thing that you're doing your own stuff, you're doing your own marketing, your social media, all that kind of stuff, saying yes to cool opportunities like this bourbon tasting, but then even better than that, you have your audience that you're getting to, but then it just expanded because you're now having me speak on behalf of you, and my audience is like this, and then over here this person was taking pictures and doing videos, and her audience is like this, and it was just like go on and on and on. And that's the power of user-generated content. So again, when it comes to affinity, that's just the natural liking you might have for a brand. It matters because we like them. We want to help them, get even more busy because it's such a cool place. We want to tell our friends and family about it because it's such a cool place. And if you can kind of somehow make that happen, then you're going to be sitting pretty. So again, sometimes it's saying yes to cool opportunities like a bourbon tasting. And although he probably was like, am I even going to sell drinks from my own bar that night, which he ended up doing, but you never know. It was worth the risk to him because now he got I don't know if he had to pay the Jim Beam guy, but say he had to pay him like $500 to be there and maybe had to buy each bottle of booze, so like 4 bottles. The amount of exposure he got from that one event was crazy. And here's the best part. It wasn't one event. We sat at the 6 o'clock seating. There was an 8:30 seating. So again, it like duplicated. So like what I saw in my seating with people taking pictures and all that kind of stuff, it happened again at 8:30. So one night, potentially, actually I did the math. I was like wondering if it brought him like $6,000 or so. But like spread it out, megaphone, like, hey, check out this cool restaurant. And I know he'll see the a huge input. Like I know the phone's gonna ring. I know the tables are gonna be full because of this event. And again, that's the power of Affinity. And I'll just throw in at the end, even though I didn't really talk about it too much, it's the power of saying yes to neat opportunities. And marketing isn't just billboards, or it's not just commercials, or it's not just maybe social media. It's anything that gets eyes on your brand. And this cool bourbon tasting was exactly that. So hopefully you learned a little something in this. Drop me some comments. Let me know if you need help with out-of-the-box creative thinking, because we do this all day long. Of course, our focus is social media, but we want everyone to know about your business because we want to grow local businesses. It's the heartbeat of society, and it's really important to continue to support locals. So let me know if you need any help. I hope you learned a lot about affinity marketing.